Time to talk Canes. Time to take your comments here at MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. We've got the Canes taking on Virginia, of course, on Saturday, looking to go to 5-1. Virginia won the division last year, but Miami did win the head-to-head 17-9 at Hard Rock. Again, the purpose of this particular live stream is that we've just been inundated with comments to the channel. Thank you. Over the last several weeks, really ever since the channel started, but certainly over the last several weeks during this particular college football season, we have been inundated with comments, and I would like to address the comments because they're rather insightful, encouraging, idiotic, uninformed, amusing, hilarious. So they run the gamut. So I thought that it would be more effective for me to go through the comments here. So I will take your comments in the live chat, but consider that the most important aspect of what we're doing here and the reason I'm here is to address the comments that have been placed on the boards to the videos. All right, so we're going to get right to it. I appreciate everybody online right now and whoever's going to watch on the Rewatch Squad, hashtag. So here we go. Again, this is a viewer comment reacts video. Let's get to it. I need the glasses. I try to deny this all the time. If you guys have noticed in the live streams recently, over the last several months, there's a lot of this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I've got those things that I need nothing in my eyes for, like reading. If I'm going to read a book, perfect. My eyes work just fine. Driving's different than watching TV, than reading further away, than this, than that. It seems like I need glasses. I got the glasses occasion. I got the nothing occasion. I've got the put the contacts in occasion. I've got the reading glass occasion. Awful. All right, here we go. And the glasses aren't even doing it for this. I've got to blow up the screen. Okay. All right, we got the Jandy fam on the line saying Cam bringing the heat in this one. Preach. Oh, come on, Val. Val Sheely. Cam is a clown. Cam is a clown. A clown. Seriously? Cam, a clown? Cam Underwood, State of the U? We know who we're talking about here. Nothing could be further from the truth. There are clowns out there. Come across a clown, and you will not find Cam. All right, let's get to more comments here. Valdis Mosley. I question why the Miami play callers didn't line Will Mallory up against Clemson corners, seeing as how he was the only pass catcher who routinely beats the Tigers' defensive backs. I think it's a fair point. I can't necessarily speak to that, except that seems like a matchup nightmare. Will Mallory, Brevin Jordan, those guys against just about anybody. They wouldn't necessarily be matching up corners against him. I would think it would be a lot of safeties and possibly outside linebackers that would match up against Will Mallory, and that would not be a pretty sight for any team or defense. Dennis White, I'm telling you, if Urban Meyer or Butch Davis and their coaching staff were at Miami, most of these players would be first-round draft picks. That's because a lot of this is in parentheses from our guy Dennis. I don't know why. So anyway, he's basically saying if Urban Meyer, Butch Davis were on the coaching staff now at Miami, many of these players would be first-round draft picks. That's because of great coaching. And they would challenge teams like Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia. See, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think Miami's got tremendous talent on the team. I think it's top 15 to 25 talent. I don't think it's any better than that. So I think there's still a talent gap there, but I'll take your point. The coaching could be better. The player development should have been better during all this time. We got Miami Flow Football on the line. Good to see you. Chris Bradford, one of our mainstays. Only haters say dumb stuff like that. So we're going to hear a lot of dumb stuff here. So I'm going through viewer comments. I thought it was time to address all the viewer comments. because we've received so many, and I'm going to make an excuse here. I'm not good at getting back to viewer comments, but keep in mind I'm running 3 channels right now and an audio podcast, and I'm trying to create as much content as I can for you, including what we do on Patreon. And see, over on Patreon, you get that. Over on Patreon, we've got our insider look, my predictions, betting information and insight, exclusive live streams per request. A lot of good stuff on Patreon. So check us out. Chris, they did try that, but De'Aaron King threw a pick when he was lined up on their corner. Okay. Appreciate that. So with many of these comments, do exactly what Chris did right there. Let me know if you have a take on any of this. So Will Mallory against any defense would appear to a lesser extent than Brevin Jordan, of course. He's the starter. He's the elite player, but Will Mallory's a handful that they would be matchup nightmares for just about any defense. According to Chris there, they lined up Mallory against the corner. King threw a pick. Hey, Luke, good to see you. Luke not backing down after a loss. That's good to see. North Carolina still has much to play for. Dennis, talent is better than 15, more like 10. 10, 15. Is there really much difference between those two classifications? I don't think so. I think it's the same classification. Once you get past the 3 elites, and then Georgia's teetering in there. Of course, LSU was there and way past there and blew everybody out last year. But they've come back down to earth and even below their typical floor. Can't we put Penn State, Notre Dame, Michigan, Auburn? I know they're off to a slow start, but I'm talking in generalities. I'm not talking about this particular team, this particular year. Florida, Oklahoma, Oregon in the last couple of years. They are just arriving. Washington was there. USC was there in that second tier. Miami's certainly not playing like that. Miami's playing like a 5th-tier team. Not this year, talking generalities over the last few years. Okay, that's interesting that I've got a phone going off with its alarm, especially since I just activated this phone. So that's been most of my day thus far, has been activating a phone and working through all sorts of issues there. All right. Miami Flow. Can we please stop putting Georgia in the same category as Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio University? The Bobcats. Did I do that? Not necessarily on the field. In terms of talent, yes. And on the field, close. 2017 National Championship game. 2018 SEC Championship game down to the wire. Top 5 finish. 2019 Sugar Bowl win. Top 5 finish. It's close. Wampa 75. Should we hire Mike Gundy? I would say stay with Manny, see what gets accomplished this year, and regardless of how this season ends, which I predicted it to be 8-3, and you certainly have a chance to do better than that. I would say that Manny Diaz is the guy to stay with right now. Understands the culture, the team. The team likes him. That's not always a good thing, but the team likes him. And they're playing better football. Now, let's not be too caught up in 4-1 against the likes of UAB, Louisville, Florida State, and Pitt. But this also is going to be the season in which it's the most difficult to gauge teams against teams from other conferences because there are no non-conference games. All right, let's get back to more conversation in the comments because that's why we're here, and you guys can chime in again. We've got Lazarus Lives ×3. The Oregon defensive coordinator he was talking about is Nick Alati. So this is my conversation with Justin DeTavio on X's and O's that we just posted a couple of days ago. Nick Alati was at Oregon going back to the Bellotti era. Having coaches stick around is very important. So we were talking about the effectiveness of coaches staying around, coaching staff staying together. And that's, of course, what they have at Clemson. Nick Saban's been able to defy that at Alabama. Bobby Bowden had Mickey Andrews, Mark Richt, and Chuck Amato for years. When has Miami had a coach stick around for 10 years? You'd have to go back to the days of never. True? Nobody's been the Miami coach for more than 5 years because of either underperforming in the last 20 or 25 years or another opportunity at the next level, i.e. Dennis Erickson, Jimmy Johnson, Howard Schnellenberger, Butch Davis. But Spatula Monkey counters that point about stability in the coaching staff with, from 83 through 93, Miami had some of the most dominating defenses in college football history, yet went through 3 head coaches and several defensive coordinators. Oh, man. Ulysses Perez with a horrible comment about one of our guests. Not going to read that. But our guy Lazarus Lives jumped in there to defend our guest and the channel. All right. Tabardine. This should be good. Mark is still not talking about the holding Clemson was doing on our defensive ends. Mark, if the refs call all the holding penalties, Miami's still in that game. Okay. Clemson would have been on 3 to 15 all night long, giving Miami a chance to win. 3rd and 15, I guess. Tell you what, Mark, tell your boys in Clemson to play Miami straight up. We already know they want because they are the Clemson cowards. Yeah, I said it. Trevor would be having nightmares about Phillips and Roche. Okay. I think you're probably, Tabardine, responding to offensive line blocking on the perimeter and pass protection that we see in every game. You're a Miami fan. You're looking for it in your game against your team. Let's understand that. Watch offensive line play in the NFL and in college football in pass protection, especially on the edges. It's so difficult to judge, and it's so questionable, and the officials have a difficult time, understandably, dealing with that. So, no, Clemson is not a cowardice program, cowardice team. I think they've pretty much proven themselves as much as anybody around. Oh, Lazarus. The penalties are not why Miami lost. Miami lost, could move the ball offensively. They don't have any playmakers in the outside. The offensive line is garbage. All right, and a back and forth there. Beast Mode Kane. I feel like Lashley will open up the offense this week, and that's coming into the Virginia game. Open up the offense this week. I don't know exactly why it would be this week. Virginia's coming off a tough game against Wake Forest. It was tied 20-20, and then they got blown out in the second half. And Virginia's having issues at quarterback now that Brennan Armstrong is out. Okay, curveball in here. Don't see curveball. She usually makes his way in here. Curveball. Interesting discussion. I disagree with Justin on the level of talent, though. I think Miami would be a tier 2 talent level if you were to break down the talent levels by groups of 10 per tier. I think the difference in talent level could be closed if Miami had better developers on staff. And I'm really trying to hold back on being too critical of the offense because of some of the staff only being here or for around 6 months. So, curveball, if you're blaming the talent gap on the staff, that's the development side of it. So we're dealing with talent recruited versus how much it's developed. Lazarus says it's all about development. Sir Fearing Pangborn. And the back and forth right there. I'm not going to go through all the back and forths. Eric Birch is telling us that Will Mallory is just as capable as Brevin Jordan. Lazarus comes back and says Jordan's more talented than Mallory. Any comparisons out there in the live chat, Miami fans, between Will Mallory and Brevin Jordan? Is that a fair comparison? I know that Mallory's a tremendous player who would be starting on 90-some% of the teams in America from what I can see. We'll jump back in here. Dennis says Notre Dame is fraudulent. Julian, Notre Dame sucks. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of sympathy for Notre Dame football here in this chat. George, go Gators. This morning, George, I read go Michigan out of you. EJ Rod, Georgia, where high-rated quarterbacks go to die. That's been the thorn in the side of Kirby Smart, selecting the wrong quarterback. I don't know that he is right now. We know that there are more talented quarterbacks in the locker room. All of them are more talented. Every quarterback, if you believe in the scouting reports and the recruiting rankings, all the quarterbacks in the quarterback room are more talented than Stetson Bennett. Miami Flow, difference between Georgia and Ohio. I think that's Ohio State. Alabama, Ohio is actually winning championships. And that goes back to that old argument of, for people that count championships more recently, at what point do they drop off? Got to stay focused on Miami here, even though we've got Ace to fire Harbaugh, hire Matt Campbell. They haven't played a game yet, Ace. Chris, I agree, but who else has been a mainstay in the college football playoff outside of the big three, Georgia and OU? So basically, here's our summary of the college football playoff in 6 years. Alabama and Clemson have made it 5 times. Clemson missed the first year. Alabama's missed the most recent year in 2019. I believe that Alabama was one of the 4 best teams in the country last year, but they did not earn a playoff spot, but I still believe that they were one of the 4 best teams. They weren't going to get embarrassed down 5 touchdowns at halftime like Oklahoma did against LSU. So there's a difference for me between earning a playoff spot and being one of the 4 best teams in the country. They don't always match. So Clemson, Alabama cannot be denied their rightful place among the elite. There's some question about Ohio State. They missed 2 playoff years in particular in 2017 and 18, in which their resume was just as good as the 4th seed. They also made a playoff in 16, in which it could be argued that they should not have been in the playoff. Penn State should have been there. In 2015, Ohio State had the most talented team in the country, and they lost the wrong game and finished 12-1 and in the top 5 in the nation, the top 3 in the nation, but missed the playoff. But they were one of the 4 best teams. Ohio State's an interesting matter in terms of playoff discussion because they've been on the dividing line every year except this past one. They were a slam dunk number 1 team in the country that dropped to 2, but undefeated. They're in. The first 5 years of the playoff, they were a controversial selection on either side of the dividing line. Every year, they were on the 4-5 line. It's pretty fascinating when you think about it. 5 consecutive years, Ohio State was that team where there were arguments for or against. 2014, they made it. TCU and Baylor got left out. 2015, Ohio State got left out with 1 loss and finished 12-1, won the Fiesta Bowl, top 3 to 4 in the nation. 2016, Ohio State made it despite not winning the Big Ten, not beating Penn State, but they had the best resume over Penn State, and they made it in. 2017 and 18, Ohio State won the Big Ten, got left out of the playoff, had an argument based on quality wins, but had the bad loss. And then they made it in 2019. All right, enough about the Buckeyes. We're talking Miami football. Okay, somebody got me derailed on the playoff. Swamp Life 2020, a Miami fan talking about winning. Swamp Life taking a shot there, but he can legitimately at this point. Gabriel, appreciate the encouragement. Great guest, Mark. Peter Freiberg, I could see Cam Harris leaving early because of all the running backs there. Yeah. That's kind of been a recent trend in college football that we didn't see previously. And that's players moving on to the NFL, not because they're so good and are going to be drafted so high that it makes total financial sense and they're ready for the jump. It's because they're being pushed on their own roster on the depth chart by younger players. And so the better option may be for them to go with what they've laid down on tape for the scouts in the NFL, move on to the NFL, and not finish a career sitting on the bench or with less playing time and looking like the inferior player. So it's kind of interesting that a player would move on to the NFL because the competition on his own team is so good. But that's what we're seeing now and have for the time frame in which players have been able to leave school early. And even though coaches are by nature conservative and they want to go with the experience, they feel comfortable with experience, i.e. Kirby Smart. We see it all the time. Coaches are less conservative than they used to be. It's being proven more and more and more and more all the time that freshmen are capable, that freshmen can play. Renegade 80, got to be fair, got to read all the comments here. Miami is back. A lot of exclamation marks. Too sucking like usual. LOL. D. Hernandez. D, we love the comments. We appreciate your contribution. You're always here for us, leaving all sorts of information and opinion. D. Hernandez says, no player should leave early. None are ready for the reality, talking about this current Miami team and the group of juniors. None of them are ready for the reality that will hit them when they all become undrafted free agents. Be smart, get your degree, graduate, build your skills for the next level. D. Hernandez says, and this seems to be a common theme among many of you, play the younger, more hungrier players. You can go more hungry or you can go hungrier, D, on that one. Hopefully we can recruit some quality O linemen for next season. Please. Big please out of D. Hernandez for offensive line talent. Mr. Charles says, great example with Dabo benching offensive linemen. Talking about Jackson Carman when he missed a block and wasn't fulfilling his assignment, even though he's a 5-star and they're only returning offensive linemen, that Dabo has the, we will say, guts to bench a starting player. Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Who's on the line?
Mark, DeAndre, man, we're going to have to upgrade your system, man. We're going to have to get a fundraiser going.
Oh, we need to do a lot of things, DeAndre, but I'm one man. Plus, I didn't set this up for a call-in show. and I've not advertised the number. What you got?
I didn't know that.
Oh, that's okay. I took the call. I took the call, so that's fine. This better be about Miami.
Oh, okay. About Miami.
Yeah, we're on the Miami channel talking Miami.
Miami Dolphins.
We could possibly. I'll take some kind of poll to see how many Dolphins fans we've got, but we can talk some Tua if you'd like. Sure. What you got, DeAndre?
Miami Dolphins or Miami Marlins? Know who we going with? One of them?
Sure. The Heat, the Marlins, the Dolphins.
Oh man, so Cam must didn't show up. That's why you're on. That's why you're doing Miami show, right?
Not at all. Nope. No, I set this up to answer. We've got thousands of comments to get to, so that's why I'm here.
Okay, Miami's a good program back in 2001. I remember that team. That was probably one of the greatest teams I've ever seen.
Yep. Absolutely.
No, man, I want to pull your tail a little bit, man. Man, I appreciate all your help and stuff like that, man. We're gonna have to start doing a donation raiser for you. We had to have some bake sales for you down south and make you the money. Support Mark Rogers. Tell him how great with football mind you are.
Bake sales. I love it. Let's do that. You round up some of the best that you can find.
No, I'm being dead serious. Like my daughter, she bakes cupcakes, and she sells them out in the yard. So we might have to do that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we might have to send you some donation to help you out there, man. I mean, nobody puts it down like I'm doing. But I do got one question about one game.
Sure.
And I'm just trying to get on your Patreon. I don't know if I deleted it or I don't know. I don't know what happened. But anyway.
Maybe sometime you can call and we can work through it. Go ahead.
Okay, I got you. Florida State, Louisville. Louisville 4.5. What you think? I think about putting money on the Florida State money line.
Oh, on the money line. Yeah. So you're looking at probably a plus 140.
I believe so.
Something in that range.
Yeah,
it's tempting. I haven't really looked at that game, but I think Louisville's been overrated all year, obviously. And I said that before the season started. I didn't understand all the love for Louisville and that awful defense.
Well, I think it was the coach. Man, everybody loves the coach.
Yeah, the coach is good. Sure. Yeah, Satterfield's good. Oh, you want some betting advice? Yeah. Florida State and 4.5. On the money line to try to make some money. Yeah. Well, this is going to be a little bit more general of a response, DeAndre. I'm going to say grab all the top 25 games, look at all the money lines, and every week I'm telling you there are 4 or 5 upsets. So if you can, for example, on any given week, you're not going to, of course, nail them all, but you probably only need to get 2 out of the 5. If you take 5 and you get 2, and you can maybe bounce back and forth between going 2 and 3 and 3 and 2, and you hit close to 50%, well, you're going to make money.
Right. Okay. Well, I thought what you're saying. I know everybody's big. I listen to some other channels. Everybody's big on the Illinois Wisconsin game because Illinois is Wisconsin is building a whole new team with the running back and the quarterback being gone. Didn't Illinois beat them last year?
Illinois beat them on a last-second field goal. 32-point underdog, biggest upset of the year.
Right. Yeah, I remember that game. Matter of fact, I put money on that game because for some reason I don't think I might have hit the wrong button and took the positive 32 and I ended up winning.
well, the spread's 20. I'm not taking Illinois in 20 points.
Last time I checked was 20.
And you're telling me that everybody's high on Illinois in 20 points?
Yeah, positive 20. That's how much, everybody's taking Illinois.
Okay. I don't feel good about that. I don't feel good about that. I don't feel good about that pick. Here's one thing I ran across yesterday, DeAndre. Wisconsin's offensive line, we know, is always good. They did lose their best player, and they did lose, I believe, 3 starters, but this happens almost every year. They're going to have a great offensive line, great running game. Illinois lost all 4 defensive line starters. They lost their top 3 rushers who gained 1,500 yards. Wisconsin's bringing back, I believe the number was 14 of its top 15 tacklers on defense. I just don't know if Illinois is going to score many points in this game.
Well, I didn't research it that well, so I don't keep up with Big Ten football, and they're boring. But I'll tell you, that's a good thing to know. But I heard a lot of other people talk about the Illinois Wisconsin game and that being a good pick because Illinois didn't have their quarterback or the running back. But you're right, though. They used to do. But first, I'll let you go and talk about Miami. Yeah, you do a better job of having a fish fry than talking about them. So anyway, I just don't know why anybody would root for them. And they always lose to Clemson by like double-digit points or something like that. But I'm not going to pick on Miami again.
All right. Maybe you can. All right, DeAndre. We'll talk to you later. Our man DeAndre breaking things up. All right, let's get back to the Canes. All right. Don't want anyone to get upset with me here. Yeah, I think we lost a few people here. I get it. All right, where are we? Let's get to more comments. All right, we got Reggie. Woo! Let me try that again. We've got Reggie 410. Brace yourselves, people. Reggie says, it gets old hearing him, meaning Cam Underwood, keep calling Jordan the best tight end in America. His soft ass got exposed against Clemson. He couldn't handle the physical play. Kyle Pitts is clearly the best tight end in America. Stefano says, I would love if someone were to find the stats for the past 2 years, the times when Wiggins or Harley have been targeted. What are the incompletions, interceptions, pass broken up by the defender? Because from what I personally see, it has to be an eye-popping number. Just look at last year out of KJ Osborne. That is, man, you could just tell he had that, I'm going to get the ball and I'm going to fight for it. So basically what Stefano is telling us that D. Wiggins, Mike Harley don't fight for the football, have a low target to completion rate. Vinny telling us, Vinny Panetta, Stacy Coley used to kill one-on-one. K5 Jerome, if all our juniors come back and our new corners, we will be fine. Unknown Patriot, the wide receiver group is not physical enough. They do not go and get the ball. They wait for the ball to come to them. John David, blah, blah, blah. Skill positions, blah, blah, blah. Offensive line. Last year, we lost in the trenches to non-Power 5 teams. Duh, look at our quarterbacks run. A lot of a lot of does out of John David. But I think the bottom line is that he thinks the offensive line sucks and the quarterbacks are running all the time, and that shows us that the offensive line sucks. Jeff Lynn's ELO 2022 tour. I think that's been upgraded. All juniors need to come back. Go Canes. All right. Cynthia Wilcox is begging for patience. Yes, patience, patience, patience. The U sounds off. Ride to die. Canes. Okay. Juan Betancourt. Miami has got to get Ja'Cory Brooks from Booker T. Miami can't get best out for another. Miami can't get beat out for another big physical 5-star Dade County player. Do we know where Ja'Cory Brooks is going? Chuck C. Get one or two of the young players to put fear into the deep part of the field and the running game blows up. So he's basically saying get the fast freshman, youthful players on the field at wide receiver. That'll open up the running game. All 4 of our running backs will do serious damage against whoever. Oh, one tackler at a time and not a whole box full of defenders. Chuck C. also says, I've been thinking that Pope and Harley look like world-class all-star 7-on-7 players. I think that's where Pope really popped during recruiting. He just goes down too quick and isn't strong enough to fight for deep balls. Redding and the other youngsters need to be in there. This is a huge theme out of all of you, or many of you, is to get those young wide receivers in the game. And that seems to get backed up by Cam, Justin Tatavio, the wholesome one. Hurricane Logan. Hey, Cam and Mark, a dynamic duo. Appreciate that. Cam is the man. Rewatch squad. So you watch here is the live squad. And I would encourage everyone to hit the like button, please. Hit that like button, smash it down, get to it right now. Thank you. Also, for whatever you missed here, of course, you allow the video to post. You go back and you watch what you missed. Nero says, if you're a small and fast guy, you better be able to create separation. Look at guys like Tutu Atwell or our very own legendary small receiver, Roscoe Parrish. Our 3 starting receivers are pretty mediocre. Glad to see the change. Now get Sam Brooks, Huff, and Flagg, the starting nod at linebacker. So that seems to be the second position in which many of you are clamoring for a change and to see the young guys like Brooks and Huff and Flagg, linebacker, wide receiver. We've got Juan Betancourt saying about the changeover in personnel and getting some of the younger players in at wide receiver. I don't understand these coaches. Took too long. Geez. WVB. Clemson is so far ahead of Miami, it is not possible for our rate of improvement to exceed theirs. Well, that's a good point because we were talking about closing the gap. But if Clemson is bringing in top 3 to 4 recruiting classes and Miami's bringing in top 12 recruiting classes, it's kind of difficult to catch up. This is currently happening with Georgia and Florida. Florida's done a nice job with Dan Mullen there. They've closed the gap to a certain extent, but then that gap can't be closed anymore unless you're really developing much better than they are and possibly making better quarterback selections. But still, Georgia's recruiting in the top 3, usually 1 or 2, and Florida's recruiting 8, 10, 12. D. Hernandez. Love this comment. This is what it comes down to in football and athletics, and it should across the board. Nothing is guaranteed. Work harder. You'll get your playing time. No favorites. Adam, the sports guy, says, I'm going to warm up my SEC gun. in quotes, SEC gun. See how fun this exercise is. Pitt would win 9 games if they played in the Big 12. And Adam, the sports guy, had a lot of fun doing that, apparently, he says. Randy Noel, another dig on the upperclassmen wide receivers. Pope, Harley complain the DBs are roughing them. Enough said. The freshmen have heart, fire, and a will to win. Have we seen that much out of them to know that? McNeely Studios mentioning the Alabama wide receiver core, which is just in a different hemisphere. It's just crazy good. Will Sky, do you still think UNC is a top team? A top team in the ACC? Yes. A top team in the nation? No. They are a top 20 team. Leon, good win, meaning over Pitt. After watching the Bama-Georgia game, we don't have any dogs on offense that will fight for every ball on offense. We need to tackle better. Javier Rivera Batista, as a Miami fan for 30 years, let's be real here. After last week's ass whooping from Clemson, it's very clear to me in general that we're still a mediocre team. Defense and offense, the schemes are questionable, and our physicality as well. Alakazam, Clemson just now in the 2020 class got a bunch of 4 and 5 stars. Adam, the sports guy, one of our favorites. We really need to assess our coaching staff when it comes to wide receiver play. We have way too much talent to look this bad at wide receiver. Miami has 6 4-star wide receivers, and 3 of those guys were close to ranking 5-star, and we look like we have walk-ons all over the field. These kids have not developed. Look at Mark Pope. He was ranked a 5-star in some publications, and he looks like a 3-star. I don't even know if he looks like a 3-star. I hope a lot of it's the new offense and them thinking too much about the X's and O's. Adam says Jalen Phillips is the future. First-round pick. He needs some discipline, but man, what a talent. I think long-term, he's even better than Greg Russo. Adam, listen up, fans. This is Adam calling you out, I guess. Listening to this, meaning this was the instant analysis post-game call-in show after the Pitt game. Listening to this reminds me that most fans just want to be miserable all the time, no matter what. Put your expectations into a more realistic realm, and you'll be a lot happier watching this team play and grow. Proud of my Canes. Fair point. For many, do not expect national championship consideration this year. You're going to be disappointed. Expect the team to compete for the second position in the ACC. That is reasonable. It's lofty and reasonable. It's lofty because this team, other than 2017, has not been anywhere close to that position. Ronan, our guy Ronan. Appreciate the contributions, Ronan, all the time. Want to let everyone know to join us on Patreon. You get an insider look. You get my predictions. You get betting insight from actual handicappers and odds makers, and bonus content there. Also, keep in mind that this is the full-time job. So the super chat is on. All right. $247 Canes. Let me know if you're on board right now. 247 Canes says 5 days ago, Mark, I hope now I can get some more respect. I didn't know you were lacking in respect, 247 Canes, with the things I say on these live streams. And I don't mean to brag about what I say. I just do a lot of film watching, stat gathering, studying tendencies, and putting them together for analysis on which I share opinions with our great fans. Okay. Oh, this gets lengthy. He says he learns from the wholesome one. I think he's a great addition to your Miami channel. With that being said, I just think that De'Ara King has to work on his deep throw trajectory more often. I can't tell if it's his release point or the fact that he is 5'9", but it seems to me that he floats the ball way too high up in the air with his deep throws down the field. Our team continues to allow tight ends to beat us for 4 straight games now. Pitt has not utilized its tight ends all year till today. Anyways, I can go on for hours just typing on what we did right and wrong today, but I'll save it because my opinions and assessments don't sit well with others. That shouldn't stop you. Therefore, I'll just finish here and say, great show as always, Mark, and God bless. I'll always take a God bless. Casey Cruz, it's absolutely ridiculous and unacceptable that the coach has made the Canes who they are today. The definition of swag, and the coach that started the dynasty, Howard Schnellenberger, somehow isn't in the College Football Hall of Fame. He should be. Not necessarily based on Hall of Fame standards, but based on the standards that they've created by the people that they've inducted into the Hall of Fame. Do you follow me there? Jeff Lynn, good points by Wholesome One. We are lucky to have great kickers. Pitt not having Pickett was a big difference. I was impressed with DeCorey Couch at defensive back. Carroll City Kane, 305. This is pretty stark right here. How sad we as Canes fans have really lowered our standards. This win was embarrassing and pathetic against Pitt by 12. I don't necessarily agree with that, but Charles Clanaris, an average quarterback, an average offensive line, and a disappointing wide receiver. Miami could lose 2 more games. If you can't run, you are not going to win the big games. Got Adam back on here. Miami's a good team. Not great. Growing still. Not having spring ball with a new quarterback and offensive coordinator to install a complete 180 on offensive philosophy is a big reason why Miami's offense has issues. If Lashley and King come back next season, the offense will be really good. There was a question during the Pitt game. It's probably the Aflac trivia question. Miami and Pitt are tied for 5th all-time in Pro Football Hall of Fame inductees. Notre Dame, USC, Ohio State, Michigan are in front of them. They're tied for 5th. Who are the Miami Hall of Famers? So I almost got all the Pitt players. I got all the Miami players, except I forgot about Jim Otto. Jim Otto, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Michael Irvin, Ted Hendricks, Jim Kelly, Warren Sapp, Cortez Kennedy, Edgerrin James. Of course, you got Frank Gore coming up soon, Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne. Adam says, boy, if you took the ESPN FBI preseason betting outlook on Miami this season, then you're probably broke and homeless right now. They have about a 9% chance to win their next game, says ESPN. Well, I don't necessarily know that that's accurate. 9% chance against Virginia? Because this comment was posted to the Miami Pitt game analysis. Momo is saying if Pitt was above average team, Miami would have lost. Mark Richt guys just don't have it. And from the play we are getting from Rhett Lashley, he won't have to worry about a head coaching job anytime soon. I really wanted to get to a point where we got back to these Miami, Clemson game comments. Maybe I need to, let me not go through just the more recent comments, but let me go back to Clemson week, because those are the ones that got me a little fired up. Were interesting, were amusing, were funny, were annoying, were all those things. And those were specifically to the Clemson preview videos. These will be fun. So here's prior to the, oh my goodness. Okay. Got 56 comments here. This is our Clemson Miami preview with Pigskin Pete. This should be good. Jose Castillo. I've seen this dude, meaning Pigskin Pete, on a few videos now, and he's cocky in every one of them. I hope Miami shuts him up. Okay, that didn't happen. Carl Roundtree. As a Canes fan, yes, we needed to show we're back, so this matters more to us, but you really don't understand the culture at Miami. It's players and fans. Just because we've been down for 17 years doesn't mean our ambitions have changed. When you look at our great history, the standard at Miami. I get it. So I said this to Cam the other night during the Miami live show. I said there can be the maintaining of standards. We're Miami. We're Florida State. We're Texas. We're USC. We're Nebraska. Therefore, this is what we have earned in the past. This is what we've been in the past. Therefore, we don't take on moral wins. This is who we are. We play for championships, but also understanding who you are right now and what the expectations of the team should be right now based on the talent and the development of that talent and the ability of the coaching staff and how long the coaching staff's been in place. And understanding, even though we're Miami, we play for championships, we've won them in the past, and that should be the standard, and that has to be the goal, and the objective is excellence and elite status. We're not there now. So to expect that out of this team is just going to be nearly as frustrating as it's been to expect it out of the last 15 teams, because they weren't capable, and this team isn't capable to that degree. 8-3, they might even go 10-1. They might be better than everybody else on the schedule, but that could still be a 10-1 this far away from Clemson, and then it becomes 10-2 when Clemson puts a beat down on them again. So expectations can be different for a program versus a particular team that's playing right now. I'm bypassing a lot of these comments just because they're dated. All right. Smitty strikes again. It's always fun to read these comments after the game. Nope, Miami is better. The eye test doesn't lie. Clemson is way different. Miami with King at quarterback is better than a depleted Clemson team. They got a quarterback and a running back. That's all, folks. Everyone else is in the league. Miami wins by 7+. I got to get to these reaction videos a lot sooner after the actual comments come down. Because man, when they come down, when it's in the moment, it's fun, and they mean something. And I'm going back on these, and I think, okay, these were funny at the time, but all right, Will Sky. Let's see what we got here. Mark, you make 0 cents. This is a new season. Okay, Will, here we go. Clemson was the better team last year. This isn't a lifetime achievement award. This isn't the NBA where you play a 7-game series. One game, the Giants wasn't better than the Pats, but who has the trophy? Yeah, I laid out that scenario. All we have to do is be better Saturday. Everything y'all basing your opinion on is last year. That's not accurate. Fun fact, Miami's never lost in Death Valley. So put that fun fact away. It's over. And that fun fact was not like they were 17-0 in Death Valley. They were, I believe, 3-0. 2-0, 2-0, 3-0. Yes, I would like to load more comments. Can we do that, please? Load more comments. So let's see what you guys had for my guys, Pigskin Pete and Bobby Durkins. Joel Diaz, 35-21 Canes. Lionel, you guys don't know anything about football. All you talk about Clemson. Your run will end soon. Go Canes. Nadu, Hurricanes fans are like Dallas Cowboys fans. Any kind of success and they think they're going to win it all. Deba Kwame, have you not watched a Miami game? We do more than just run, but good luck though. Win or lose, there's still the ACC championship to look to. Jeremy Mosley, I'm a Canes fan and I'm not that delusional. And yes, we do have more delusional fans than realistic. Jimmy Tube, here's the thing. For the old school Canes fans and the delusional ones too, we're all one family. We're a proud fan base, logical or not. As many fans are of the teams that have any pedigree. You guys are laying out the facts for the most part. Well, thank you, Jimmy Tube. A lot of us Miami fans are salty for the way our team has been disrespected and hated while we were great. And disrespected, jeered, and mocked while we're down. And we've been down for most of 2 decades with an exception here and there. Aaron Cisneros, I was at a bar in Miami, was getting destroyed by Clemson, and Clemson fans were buying me shots and told me, sorry about your team, bud. I thought that was cool. Good luck. Brandon Cater. Mark, this is the Pigskin Pete Bobby Durkin show about Clemson, Miami. Worst show of your channel. Okay. It was fun. It's a good time. The Lee Smith channel. Clemson by at least 21 points. Good pick there, Lee Smith. All right. I got to get on these videos on the REAX much sooner. It's difficult. So, folks, if you comment to the channel on a regular basis, not in the live chat, I am really good about going through the live chat and getting to anything that's anywhere close to being relevant. But in terms of responding to the comments on the videos, bear with me. I'm building these channels out. I don't have much time to comment. I'm creating content here. All right, let's get on it. Talking about holding. Joel Keynes, yeah, there's a lot of holding in every game. All right. Slim Shady Keynes coming in with a super chat. I appreciate it, Slim Shady Keynes. You can't develop anybody on offense when you have 3 playbooks, offensive coordinator and position coaches in 3 years. It's a tremendous point, and it's for all of us to see. It has worked at other places at times, but generally, Slim Shady Keynes, you are correct. Almost all the time, you need stability. You need stability. And you're always going to have an influx of different players. Let's say you've got an offense and you've got an offensive coordinator in place for 10 years. But of course, you're always bringing in new personnel. But there's the stability of the offensive coordinator, the terminology, the approach, the techniques that are taught, the relationships that have been built. So if you've got 3 new starters on offense or even 7 new starters on offense, you've got a core of individuals that can teach the younger players and model it in front of the newer players, the young players. Swamp Life. This is serious business here. Y'all a trash program. Once King is gone, you'll go right back to FIU level. Yee. Kyle Smith, Swamp Life. I know what you're doing here, man. Couple years of success, but come on, y'all won 4 games twice in the last decade. Yeah, Swamp Life, Florida fan. This changes year to year, much of it. There's only a few programs in the country that can say pretty much every year we're there. And there can be shots taken back and forth between these two, talking Miami and Florida all day. 4-7, 4-8. Kyle's got it right on the money. The McElwain and Muschamp years were not kind outside of 2012 to Florida football. That 2012 team was serious. That 2012 team took on the best schedule, the most difficult schedule in America, and came that close to, and people don't remember this, go back and look, a college football playoff appearance, spot in the SEC championship game. They tied for the East Championship. They lost to Georgia, a game in which they statistically dominated. But that was Will Muschamp's team. That was the team. And then it ended with a big win against Florida State, a good Florida State team with E.J. Manuel. But then they got upset against Louisville and Teddy Bridgewater in the Sugar Bowl. And that was the last we heard of Will Muschamp in any type of contending team at Florida. But new times in Gainesville with Dan Mullen, if they can get back on the field. Jabari Jones, hey, what team you think from the FCS the Sun Belt should add in the Southeast? Team from the FCS that the Sun Belt should add in the Southeast. We'll open that up to the room. I don't have an opinion on that. Jim Lee, of course, I reply to your chats as much as I possibly can. I typically get behind. I'm working on comments that were made at 12:58, and it's 1:13. Okay, we're not too far behind. Relevant. I love that term. Relevant. What does relevant mean? We had an argument about that the other night. What does relevant mean? There are certain terms that sports fans love to throw around, and college football fans in particular. Relevant, elite, who's down, what program, what team is down. What else? Those are the three that come to mind that I always respond to when I'm asked those questions. What do you mean by down? What do you mean by relevant? What do you mean by elite? I have my own definitions for those, but everybody does. Slim Shady, keeping us going here. So I want everyone to know out there, it's certainly not your responsibility. It is my responsibility to deliver great content, great discussion, debate, analysis, all the things that we do here on the Miami channel and on over Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. So please subscribe to both. Even if you only want to lock in on Miami football, I am asking you to go to the main channel, Mark Rogers TV, and subscribe there. For the same reason that I'm acknowledging Slim Shady Kane's contribution right there. This is what I do. I have resigned from a position of 19 years, and this is what I'm doing, full throttle, all the time, full time, more than full time. Full time times 3. That means 24/7. So the full time job is 8 hours. 8 times 3 is 24. I'm pretty much here 24 hours a day. I'm stretching the truth just a little bit. So it's not your responsibility to support me unless you find value in the product, in the content, not just my analysis. So Miami fans, you need to realize if you're only here on the Miami channel, that I'm much more college football commentator and analyst on my main channel when I'm talking the Power 5 and the entire scope of college football than I am here, because I rely on Cam Underwood and the Wholesome One. So you only hear my analysis of Miami football when I believe that I have something relevant and important and worthwhile and of value to say. But I rely on the experts. That's why we build a great Miami channel, is because I bring on tons of experts and I engage as well. And I give a national perspective. I give an ACC perspective, and I watch most of the games. I'm not going to watch Miami play Bethune-Cookman. Mark that off right out of the gate. The Miami Temple game I may watch just out of necessity. Dad, he too. I did not retire. It was a resignation. I did not retire. Retirement would have been nice. That comes with a lot of goodies. I resigned. I had a situation that I had to deal with, and this was the only way to deal with it and feel good about myself and look myself in the mirror, was to stand up for principles and be right here all the time, full throttle. So some of you are aware of what happened to me to a certain extent. I don't know that anyone's aware, knows the story, but at least know that I was not able to post YouTube videos on the main channel for 30 days, and that hurt big. So we're recovering from that, and now I am full-time, full throttle all the time. So the 100% income has been reduced to about 10% of that, and I have to kick it in, just knock down the door, smash the door down, kick it in, make it happen. So again, I got to acknowledge Slim Shady Kane's for the contribution. We appreciate that. Congrats on Florida becoming the OU of the SEC. Great half a team. Have fun losing the rest of your games this year. This Florida team does look like an Oklahoma team. No defense. Guys are completely lost. Guys are completely lost in the secondary. Guys running around free in the secondary. I hate watching football like that. I hate it. I love offensive shootouts when they're played against good defensive teams. When the quarterbacks have to make throws in tight windows, when the receivers have to outfight the defensive backs, high point the football, when running backs have to struggle to break tackles, Not when it's just flag football out there. Not when it's Baylor and Texas Tech circa 2015 and it's 62-59 because everybody's just running around out there free and it's flag football. Nobody can tackle. Nobody knows their assignment and coverage. Receivers can just, boop, they're catching half the passes in their gut because it's that easy. They're wide open. Hate that kind of football. Andy, not a call-in show tonight. I apologize. I know that we did receive one call, but that was from a viewer who has had the call-in number for quite some time. So I've not promoted, nor have I posted the call-in number today because this was all about going through the comments, which I was a lot more excited than the actual delivery on the comments reacts. I've got to admit, because I was just thinking, okay, there have been so many great comments to the channel. Again, insightful, engaging, informative, interesting, encouraging, idiotic, moronic, illogical, delusional, amusing. Yeah, those two. So I thought we would have fun going through the comments, but it kind of loses something in interpretation, especially when weeks have passed. And so the comments have been phenomenal. I appreciate everybody commenting to the board. That is another key element in all of this, in us building the channel, is your comments. Like to let everyone know that we've got a live stream lined up for instant analysis and to take your calls. Yes, Andy Garcia, to take your calls on all of college football tonight after the Wisconsin-Illinois game over on the main channel. So go to MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, on the main channel. Subscribe there, subscribe here, hit the bell for the notifications. That way you know when we're going live. I'm going to be releasing a programming schedule that I hope to be able to stay with and stick to 100% of the time. And I'm going to release that programming schedule, which focuses on the live streams, very soon. But again, head on over to MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football, the main channel. And of course, right here, subscribe as well. Hit the bell for the notifications. That way you get the notification when we drop a new video or we go live. Robert, thank you. Smash that like button. Even if you don't agree with me, even if you don't like me for some reason, if you enjoy the content and like what we're doing here by bringing on top Miami bloggers and broadcasters, I would ask that you would hit the like button and you would subscribe. Join us on Patreon. That's a good time. I'm going to tell you right out of the gate, it's $5. $5 a month. So it is about, let me do the math. I think that's about 16 cents per day. 16 cents per day. What you get there, my predictions. I'm not a handicapper. I'm not an odds maker, but I'm pretty damn good at predicting football games. This is not even a stellar year for me, and I'm 39-29 against the spread. And I pick all the top 25 games. I just don't select what I think I can hit. Pick them all. So you get my predictions. You get an insider look. So that's my insight into all sorts of things related to the football here and the football industry and the television industry based on 30 years working in network television. Also, we deliver bonus extra content, betting advice, insight from actual odds makers and handicappers that you can get there. So join me on a Patreon. Just go to Patreon, search MarkRogersTV. Oh, Kyle. Oh, believe me, could I go through old comments on a lot of things? As I was seeing the Kentucky score go higher and higher on Tennessee after I had predicted Kentucky to win that game, and Tennessee fans were all over me, and what an idiot I am. And I got my Kentucky blue on. 34-7 Kentucky. Yes. And that's fine. I don't mind people calling me an idiot and you're a moron and why did you pick that team and you must be insane. But just come back after you're wrong. Just come back and we'll talk about it. And I'm not going to throw it in your face because you know what? I'm going to be wrong sometimes. I'm going to be right sometimes. You're going to be wrong sometimes. You're going to be right sometimes. I'm only going to guess that my right versus my wrong is going to be a little higher than just about everybody's right and wrong. Lenoris Murray likes Miami 48-20. I could see that. I think that might be a little high, but I could see it. Yeah, that was a curb stomping right there, Brandon Ferguson. 40-3. Miami lost that Peach Bowl in 2005 to LSU, and that was one of the more anticipated bowl games that year because the two teams were loaded with talent. Kyle likes Miami over Virginia 34-24. Dennis telling us that Brevin Jordan will be limited to a game time decision. Judge Juno, good to see you. Moderator in the house. Thank you, Judge. David McKee, interesting upset pick here. I am feeling it myself. This is the week Notre Dame goes down. Pitt has lost 3 consecutive games. The game that they lost to Miami was by the most points in the most dominant fashion. Not that I believe Miami dominated the game, but Miami beat Pitt worse than anybody else has. Pitt lost on a last second or a overtime extra point miss, 31-30 to Boston College. They lost to NC State 30-27, a last second field goal situation. Notre Dame's better than Pitt. The game's at Pitt. It's a close matchup for a number of reasons. Pitt has played them well in recent years. They went to Notre Dame 2 years ago and they gave the Irish all they could handle. I believe that final score was 19-14. This could be a similar type game. Of course, Notre Dame struggled against Louisville last week, 12-7. So I still believe my Notre Dame is decidedly the better team. Notre Dame's one of the 10 or 12 best teams in the country. They should be. Pitt's more of a top 40 type team, but these upsets happen all the time. Check out just this season. Go week to week. Check out all the double-digit upsets in college football already. Texas lost to TCU as an 11-point favorite. Oklahoma lost to Iowa State. They were about an 8-point favorite. They lost to Kansas State as a 28-point favorite. Pitt lost to NC State. They were a 14-point favorite in that game. Of course, we just saw Florida State upset North Carolina as a 13-point underdog. Kentucky last week, a 6-point dog to Tennessee, won. South Carolina was a field goal underdog against Auburn. They won that game. There have been bigger upsets. Can't think right now. But then again, I just named 7 or 8 substantial upsets. There's been others. And with the 2 other conferences just about ready to play, we'll see even more. Dennis likes the Canes, 35-13. Robert Armstrong, I love Mark's content, so hit the like and subscribe button so he can keep this going. It's all about the you. Robert, I appreciate the encouragement. Thank you so much for keeping this going. It just takes a little bit from everyone. We've got about 4,300 subscribers here. We've got about 21,000 plus on the main channel. And don't throw tomatoes at me for saying this and pointing this out. If you didn't know it, we've got an Ohio State channel that we started. It's just getting to a place where we can hopefully get the approval from Google to monetize. It should have already been monetized with about 1,200 subscribers. So subscribe, hit the like button, comment, do all those things. If I can get just a little bit out of everyone, out of those 25,000 people, just a little bit, head on over to Patreon. Join us on Patreon. You get an insider look. You get my predictions each week. You get extra bonus content. And you get betting insight from actual odds makers and handicappers. Oh, yes. That was the last game at the Orange Bowl, 48-0 Virginia, of course. That would have been in 2008? 10? Dennis, Notre Dame reputation only. I get the point. Dennis, I get the point. I will say that's only one game. So we'll see about Notre Dame. And Notre Dame may turn out to be a marginal 7-4 kind of team. And they may turn out to be the second best team in the conference, as many of us expected. And I'm not going to say necessarily I expected them to be a clear-cut number 2 team in the ACC, because I actually picked Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, and North Carolina to tie for second place in the ACC this year at 9-2. And I picked Miami 8-3. I was not on the Louisville bandwagon. I didn't expect them to stumble as badly as they have. So let's understand, Dennis, for as much as you're saying that I'm taking Notre Dame based on reputation, you're also falling back on one game. So I get it. They looked awful against Louisville. They did not look great against Duke. They were only up a score in the fourth quarter. Won that game, I believe, 24-13. Throw out the South Florida game. They crushed them 52-0. They beat Florida State, but they were down by a field goal close to halftime there. Kyle, Mark, going to join Patreon tomorrow. Thank you for all that. You do, not a betting guy, but one to support. So here's the deal on Patreon. A number of people join me on Patreon, and they simply say, like David Greenshield here, and I will get to your question in just a second. Kyle letting us know, and that reminds me here, that if you go over to Patreon, here's the deal. I'm not a salesman. I'm not a pitch man. I want to be on here talking to college football with you. But this is part of the deal, especially now that the income's gone from 100% to 10%. So now I need to drive it hard. What we got on Patreon is a situation where a number of people join us, and I am constantly asking, David can back this up. I'm constantly asking them, what do you want to see? What kind of requests do you have? Keeping in mind that this is just bonus content. So I can't just pour myself into Patreon, of course, because these YouTube channels need to be humming. And I've got requests from all sorts of people, which is a good thing. I've got requests from all sorts of people outside of my platforms that want me to do content for them. So that's nice as well. But again, it's time consuming. So my point on Patreon is a number of people out of the 55 that are signed up have said, Mark, you don't need to do anything extra here. I'm just supporting. Don't do anything else. Just keep flooding YouTube with content. And I'll support here. But a number of people come to Patreon and they expect bonus content. And I fully understand that. You are not here as my charity provider. I need to deliver. So I totally get that. I need to deliver. So what we've got on Patreon are my predictions. We bring Steve Merrill on the line once a week to give a bonus. So it's a free selection from him. He's Steve Merrill from Pro Sports Info. So you go there, you spend considerable money to get expert advice, but he gives us one free pick there per week. And I'm also lining up some other betting experts because the feedback that I got from our limited pool of people at this point was that they would like to get more betting advice, and I can only provide so much. I'm a hack, I'm a wannabe, I'm a don't have the time for betting kind of guy that just happens to, since 1982, have a really good record predicting football games. But I'm no expert. I just do a decent job at it. Just about 60% against the spread. And that's picking all the top 25 games. Once I've gone to confidence picks and said I'm going to select different games as confidence picks, then my percentage goes way up because I lay off all those 25-point spreads, because you get in trouble betting on, you cannot make a living betting, period. You especially cannot make hay betting on 25-point spreads. There are three good reasons why. Number one, if the game lives up to the expectation that it's a blowout, you don't know who's going to be on the field in the fourth quarter. And with teams as talented as Clemson and Ohio State and Alabama and others, sometimes the backups of the backups of the backups are even better than the team that they're facing. And they actually have incentive to play hard because they never get on the field. So they want to beat up Rutgers because they want to say, I want more playing time. And this is the only time I practice every day. I go to the film room and the meetings and all the things I do, and I finally get a chance to play. Well, I'm going to make it happen. So anyway, you don't know who's going to be on the field in those blowout games in the fourth quarter. You don't know how motivated they're going to be. And the common knowledge or common take on that is that they'll not be trying as hard for the team that's winning by 40 points. But actually, I would say on occasion, those guys are more motivated based on what I just said. They finally got on the field. And number three, you don't know the coach's approach. Miami's beating Duke 48-7 in the fourth quarter, and they're a 35-point favorite, and they're winning by 41. We don't know how the coach on either side is going to call the game. We don't know if the coach is going to say, you know what, we're up by 41. There's 12 minutes left in the game. Run off tackle every play. Let's get on the bus. Let's go. And they give up a touchdown and a backdoor cover. Or, you know what? We're running our offense. We got our third string quarterback in there. I want to see him play against actual live guys with pulses that have different jerseys on. So let's go for it. Let's run the offense. Let's do it. So in blowout point spreads, if the game lives up to the expectation of the point spread, you don't know who's going to be on the field in the fourth quarter. You don't know what their motivation or level of effort is going to be. And number three, you don't know what the coach's approach is going to be on either side toward a game that's 42-3. So that's why I don't, even though I pick all those games. So for example, throw me a game. Clemson, who does Clemson play this week? Clemson's got, I got to think about this. Syracuse. Clemson's got Syracuse this week. I haven't even looked at the spread. I'm going to pick this game today. They must have the spread must be 41, 42 points. Well, I'm going to predict the game just because I predict every top 25 game, and I predict any games that are close to top 25 status that I think are relevant. If Notre Dame's playing USC and neither team's in the top 25, I still see that as a big game, and I'm going to predict the game. Jordan, thank you. 46-point spread. Chuck, I'll get to your super chat in just a second. I appreciate it. Jordan, 46-point selection for Clemson by Vegas. So my point in this one is that my record's not as good as it could be because I predict every game, and I have run the numbers, and my prediction record against games once they get to 3 touchdowns and over is only like 50-50 because it's so difficult to predict those games because of what I just said. Don't know who's going to be on the field, how hard they're going to be trying, or what the coach's approach is going to be in terms of play calling. So my winning percentage below that 3 touchdown dividing line has to be close to 70% against the spread. So again, I'm not selling myself as a odds maker, handicapper type. I take about 3 minutes to make predictions, but I am 39-29 against the spread this year, and that's just typical. That's not even a good year. So we bring other guys on like Steve Merrill, who is an odds maker, handicapper type, and I'm looking for other ones to bring on there. So we've got the betting angle covered in terms of my predictions and insight and information from others, the real experts. Then you also get an insider look because it's been told to me that people want to know, about my experience and my thoughts and my background in the industry of television. So for many of you, you don't know that I've been in the television industry for 29 years to be exact. I was going to give myself credit for 30, but actually 29. And so we've got some of that on Patreon as well. And you hear a little bit more about me if you care to hear about that, but also bonus content, extra content. And it's been a rough few days. It's been a rough 6 to 8 weeks as well, but we're making it through, and you guys are amazing, and you guys help me through it. And then also on Patreon, just again, extra content, bonus content, and I will take requests, and we will do exclusive live streams there, as we have about 15 times where we've done exclusive live streams on Patreon, and people come on. We just talk college football. It's good. So just imagine when you see the Wholesome One or Cam Underwood on talking to me, that could be you. And then we've got about 6 or 8 of us talking college football for an hour or so, and it's a good time. So let's get these predictions in. Jeff is telling us Notre Dame will lose to Pitt if Pickett's 100% and ready to go. Jordan tells us, and many people go this route, they don't like to bet on their own team. So I would stay away from this game anyway. 46 points is incredibly high. Exactly. Can Clemson beat Syracuse by 46 points? Absolutely. Of course they can. They just beat Georgia Tech by 66 points. Is Clemson going to beat Syracuse by 46 points? I have no idea. I'm going to have to make a selection in these when all else fails. And when I have no idea, I typically take those kind of points. Now, if Clemson was on a mission to beat Syracuse by at least 46, would they? Yes. If for some reason, and I'm not promoting nor encouraging the bounty type system, but if somebody went to the Clemson football team and said, I'll give each one of you $10,000 if you cover the spread. Well, Clemson's going to go out there and win 72-7 or whatever. I have full faith in Clemson being able to do whatever, and the coaching staff was in on it so that they would call the game in such a way and leave the players in, and Trevor Lawrence would not go 9 for 10 and then hit the bench. He would end up going 39 for 44 for 532 yards and 7 touchdown passes. Good point there, Jordan. Dabo is good friends with Dino Babers. He won't run up the score, and he didn't try to run up the score last week against Georgia Tech. He played every quarterback on the roster, including the punter. D. Hernandez, if Notre Dame loses to Pitt, where does that put Miami in the standings? Well, so as we currently stand, Clemson's undefeated, Notre Dame's undefeated, everybody else has a loss in the ACC, correct? Yes, everybody else has a loss. So we've got a zillion place tie in that second spot if Notre Dame loses to Pitt. We're going to have to wait till all that shakes out, D. Hernandez. We are so far away from figuring that out. And I actually asked the question the other night because I've Googled it and not been able to find the response, the correct answer to what are the deciding factors if there's a tie for second place in the ACC. Because that was my conclusion to the season, is I had 3 teams tying for second place in the ACC at 9-2. So what's the deciding factor? Well, in a normal year where there's an ACC Atlantic and Coastal, and actually this came down just last year before Miami hit the skids late, where it looked like it was going to be this topsy-turvy, like 5-way tie for first place in the Coastal Division. Virginia ended up beating Virginia Tech head-to-head to win it outright 6-2 versus a bunch of 5-3s, or a few 5-3s. But it looked like it might be some mess, 4-way tie at 5-3, something like that. Well, comes down to head-to-head if it's a 2-way tie, comes down to common opponents, and there's a full-scale rundown, just like in the NFL playoffs, to determine who should be the team. But in this scenario, think about it. Notre Dame doesn't play Miami. So if Notre Dame and Miami tie for second place in the ACC, then we've got a big issue. And I don't know how that would be decided. I hope it doesn't come down to some type of college football playoff selection rankings. It shouldn't come down to that. Points are more important and more relevant and more valid than the college football playoff selection rankings. Now, if Notre Dame and Miami, for example, tie for second place at 10-1, and let's say they tie at 10-1, if you go to common opponents, then you might have an issue there, although most likely Notre Dame's going to lose to Clemson, and they're going to have the same record against common opponents. Dennis, I hope you heard some of my rant when the ACC allowed Notre Dame to compete for a championship in the ACC this year. Should have held them over a barrel and said, you want to play college football in 2020? Then you're joining the ACC. You help us out this year, or we help you out this year. You help us out for the next 20 years. Yes, join the conference. Are you in the conference or not in the conference? Dennis, if you want to hear me go off for about 8 minutes on that and actually make sense, but still go off, you can check out the video. Let's see. D. Hernandez, how about breaking the ties with the Kansas City tiebreaker? Andy, if they tie, I say let us play the Irish for Charlotte. That would be sweet, huh? Tiebreaker game. David, stirring things up, I see. All right, folks. One last prediction here coming in from D. Hernandez. Miami wins over Virginia, and their rotation of quarterbacks 30-7. Their rotation of quarterbacks that have defensive line and linebacker numbers 36, 98, and 99. All right, everyone. It's been a good time here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Again, like this video, smash that like button. Also, subscribe, hit the bell for the notifications. That way you know when we're going live here and over on the main channel at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We will see everybody after the Wisconsin-Illinois game tonight over on the main channel with instant analysis, taking your phone calls, good time in the live chat after the ball game tonight. We'll see you.